Behind the Hooks. With Manny DeGrandis. And Daniel Panetta. And here we are.
Where are we?
We are still in my house.
Yes. Figure out what that door is.
Welcome to episode 3. This will be episode 3.
You're the editor, so you tell me.
I'm gonna stop numbering them because I'm losing count.
Yeah.
After 3 episodes, I'm losing count.
2.0 and 3, we're confused.
Oh god, that makes 5.
Who are you, anyways?
I'm Daniel Panetta.
This is Daniel's house,
and right beside me here is Manny DeGrandis, and we have a very special guest today.
Special.
So, 3 episodes in, we still haven't gotten this figured out. Very special guest, a great friend of ours, and we love him.
Yeah,
and we go back probably a decade or something like that. I do, at least.
Yeah.
You've known him longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, the great Steve Peconi is here. Say hi, Steve.
Oh, hello, everybody.
How you doing, buddy?
Well, you know, any better, there'd be 2 of me.
I'd offer you a glass of wine, but I'm afraid I'd destroy my computer.
Yeah. Well, fair enough. And yes, it's I was actually thinking about that today. So yeah, Manny, you and I actually started working together in spring of 2011. And I think Danny, you started what, 2013?
Yeah, I was a late bloomer.
Yeah, so you know, it's the better part of a decade anyway.
It's been a while.
Yeah. It's been a roller coaster.
Yeah.
For us, but especially for you in this industry that is the music world that we live in. Why don't you tell the good people listening, all 3 of them, what exactly you do for a living, my friend?
Sure. So I now work for Yamaha Canada. I am the product marketing manager for guitars, amplifiers, Line 6, and Ampeg products. So basically any marketing efforts that happen within Canada to do with any of those products, I oversee that. And I work on implementing it. I do artist relations with Canadian artists. And Danny, you need a few more Instagram followers before you can call me.
Yeah, I you know what? My social media game used to be so great. Now I just don't give a shit. Like, I really don't.
You ruined MySpace.
Yeah, MySpace was my shit. I had 45,000 followers, and then MySpace went bust.
Weren't you underage during the MySpace years?
I was 18.
No, there you go.
What are you talking about? MySpace has been gone since
you're
2008.
Yeah.
Then I was
14.
No, okay, wait a minute.
Underage. Then you're wondering why
I was signed. I was signed when I had MySpace. I was 16 when I was signed. So
well, there you go.
And how did that go for you?
Welcome to Behind the Hooks.
Yeah, there you go.
So this is why we have Steve. Steve is one of our friends that was moving on up.
Demonetized.
To the east side. He definitely went more east to go work for Yamaha Canada. And it's just once, what do you do? What do you do? Like a 9 a.m., going to work at 9 a.m. pre-COVID, of course, but like go in, you have your coffee, and then you just call up Billy Sheehan.
No, not
Okay,
so much.
right.
Not so much.
Well, this is why I didn't go for this job.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of admin stuff involved too. All of the purchasing and inventory for those categories. That's all me. So that's probably a really big part of my job, if not the biggest part of my job, is actually that side of it, is making sure there's enough inventory and finding out, doing a lot of market research, what's moving, what's not, who are the new competitors on the market, who, what's, all of that stuff. That's
right.
Marketing at its core. I remember my marketing prof, the definition of marketing is anything and everything to do with determining the needs of your customers. That's it. You know,
and breaking it down like that, I mean, you it sounds so simple, but it's amazing how, myself included, we just don't have that bone in our body. You know what I mean? Like there's that gift of the gab that you have to possess, I guess. The need to well, not the need to help people, but to just be a people person altogether. And just by knowing you, I know that you know you can talk the paint off of a wall.
Is that in a good way?
It is a good thing. It's a great thing, dude. Every big musical purchase I've ever had was at the hands of Steve Peconi.
Yes, I pulled you into my.
With money I may or may not have had at the time.
Hey, in fairness, we also did a lot of gigs together. I also hired you for a lot of stuff. So, you know, in a way, I paid for some of your gear.
Yeah, you did actually.
If you think of it that way.
No, that's great. I love the day in the life of Steve Peconi, because I mean, we remember what the day in the life was back when we were working and hanging out together. What stress level? I mean, obviously things have changed. Yeah. Are you dealing a lot direct to customers? Or are you're dealing with businesses exclusively?
So I don't deal a lot with end users. I will do. I do handle some like support cases that come in. You know, somebody might have a question or an issue that comes straight into Yamaha, and if it's a guitar related thing, then I will deal with that in some cases. But for the most part, I work with our dealers, and I work with the district managers, the sales guys who have their own territories. I deal with them, and they deal directly with the dealers. So, but yeah, it's there's a lot of stuff, you know, like today I did you know, 2 big webinars for some of our dealers, you know, doing some product training, you know, so stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool. So you're teaching the new product to
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you know, when you come out with a product, and sometimes it's not always a new product, sometimes it's a product that's, you know, been around for a bit, but maybe hasn't gotten a huge focus or things like that. Different dealers have different levels of skill and different areas of expertise. So sometimes they maybe need a little help to learn, how do you sell this thing? Right. You know, because, you know, it's not as easy. I mean, you know, Manny, you've worked on a sales floor, you know, it's not just as easy as hang that guitar on the wall and someone will come and buy it. Like there's a lot more to it. So yeah, we help our dealers with that. And there's all kinds of things that we do, like with, you know, different marketing campaigns. You know, we did a big weekend at Cosmo Music back in 2019, before the world imploded. And, you know, stuff like that. Like that was a big, it was a sales event, but it was also a big marketing event. It was a big, you know, get out, come and talk to the Yamaha folks, right? So that's the kind of stuff that we do, and the folks on my team, you know, you know, I have counterparts for different categories that we all work together. And you know, one of the coolest ones that we did very recently was we did a live stream series called Return to Live. So we actually brought in a bunch of artists into our office in Toronto, and for 6 nights in a row, we live streamed a show for them. And it was they were about an hour-ish each. And what was really cool about that was, in some cases, like, these artists haven't played a gig in a year and a half, you know, and some of them, they've not even really seen each other. They haven't even been in a room and played together in a year and a half, you know. So it was really cool to be in the room and watching, you know, literally watch the magic happen as all of those, they started firing on all cylinders, and we had some, like, all of the performances were absolutely incredible.
Man, like,
That's the kind of
must
stuff.
have felt
It
to
was
be
great.
the facilitator of that. You know what I mean? To be like part of that solution of people that have just not been able to do it for so long, and
give them a gig.
Now you've given them an opportunity.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that was the whole impetus for it. Was, originally the plan, when we started talking about it, was there was early talks of the lockdowns being loosened, and we thought, cool, let's do it in a live venue. Let's do, almost like a super show kind of thing, like one night, all these bands kind of thing.
Okay.
That was the original idea, but then of course the lockdown kept going. It didn't stop, and still hasn't. So we thought, all right, well, what's the solution to that? And we thought, all right, well, why don't we do it as a live stream series? So we spread it out over 6 nights, and we brought in bands from out west. We had some local Toronto groups as well. So that was really, really cool.
Now, you did it at Yamaha in what, the theater or in the room?
Yeah, we do have our own performance center in there.
Which is amazing, right? Like, it's amazing.
I want to go.
Yeah, it's really.
Yeah, I mean, it's not
really
it's,
nice.
It's not a massive room. I mean, you could fit
but it's just
100 people or something in there if we had seats and all of that.
It's a great showcase room, man.
Yeah,
it was
so cool, right? To have, like, to be in an environment where you're selling a product, but then you have this auditorium that you could put on shows whenever you have to.
So I got a question for you. So you know, with the pandemic coming in, I guess, I mean, even still, it's early on in your Yamaha career, if we think about the longevity that you can have here. Was that a big pivot for you, or were you dealing a lot with people out of town, out of province, out of country? So, like, did you have to, was that a pivot on a dime kind of thing for your job, or was that something you were already used to doing?
The biggest pivot was just was the working from home. That was the biggest thing, right? Because I was in the office, maybe about 25-30% of the time I was out on the road as well. I would go out with the district managers and visit dealers and stuff like that. Do meetings with artists, do all of that stuff. So yeah, I mean, I haven't been to a dealer in a year and a half. Just because we're not out on the road. A lot of the district managers, I haven't seen any of them. We talk all the time, but I mean, I haven't seen any of them physically in a year and a half.
That's crazy.
So it's been a little nuts with that. So I mean, that was. I think it's just kind of adjusting to how the world has to do business right now, and how we've had to do business for the last little bit. The biggest impact that the pandemic had on our industry was twofold. Number one, a lot of the factories in Asia and stuff are under very strict COVID protocols, and still are. That includes our factories. We own our own factories in China and Indonesia, in Japan. And, a lot of them have not run above 50% capacity the entire time because they haven't been able to, so we've had a lot less stuff being made. But with everybody sitting at home, everybody wants to learn how to play guitar.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the demand went through the roof. And that is not just Yamaha, that is industry wide. If you read any of the trade stuff, this was a huge thing that nobody expected. The expectation was, okay, people are going to be out of work, especially musicians. I mean, they live on a gig economy. They're going to be out of work. They're going to be holding on to their money. They're not going to be spending, so I think, for me personally, I was prepared for sales to be really slow, right? But then the demand was insane, because the flip side of that was there are people like me who have, who don't live on a gig economy, who didn't have to take time off work, and whose paycheck is secure.
Mm-hmm.
And, they were looking at the fact that, okay, well, I can't take a vacation. So that $5,000 that I have put aside now, all right, I'm going to buy that guitar that I want.
Yeah.
Because I can't do a vacation, or, I'm not driving into work every day. So I'm saving a few $100 a week on gas. And yeah, you know what? I've always wanted to learn how to play. So I'm going to buy that instrument now. So that's what happened. It was really crazy, and very much the opposite of what I think the industry was expecting.
Me, myself, included. I couldn't believe that was happening.
So in terms of supply and demand, then, are we talking, there was like huge back orders on products,
still is.
Was there a lot in inventory to kind of help with the first rush of it?
Early on, there was. Early on, we were, but basically what ended up happening, and again, I know this happened with, kind of industry wide, was, the industry kind of went through about 6 or 8 months worth of inventory in 2 months.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
It was like, it was absolutely crazy.
Huge.
Yeah, it was, but then, when after that 2 months, you're kind of behind the 8 ball for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Right. Because now you're dealing with the limited production, increased demand. And for a while, I know that a lot of customers and a lot of dealers were having real issues with that. What do you mean it's going to take 4 months? Yeah. What do you mean it's going to take this long? But that has really softened, I think, because it's not just our industry that is affected by this. It's everywhere. Like try and buy a computer monitor right now.
I went to go look for,
forget it.
I went looking for a fridge, and they're like, well, this is on back order, that's on back order. I'm like, yeah, I'm looking at fridges here in Home Depot. I'm looking at them. They're like, no, they don't sell those ones, right?
No, of course.
So like everything was like, maybe December, maybe.
Yep.
Well, everything's out of stock, right? Like I'm looking at appliances. I'm looking at gear, even gear. If it's not stored in a warehouse somewhere where they constantly tag their inventory, then you're waiting a while, man.
You're waiting a long time.
Jeez.
And and also from a marketing standpoint, it's also kind of been a little bit painful, because you can't necessarily run a lot of the campaigns that you might have run in a normal year, because you don't have stock to support it.
Yeah. So why push a product that you don't have or don't know?
That's right. And all you're going to do is just piss people off.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be whetting their appetite for something, and then you can't deliver on it.
Oh my God. This reminds me of NAMM.
Oh, wow.
That's never April, maybe May.
Yeah, never April, maybe May.
Yeah, right. It's just
I mean, it's interesting to think about when it comes to, I mean, obviously with small businesses and stuff like that, and how the pandemic affected them, the mom and pop music stores and everything, and obviously we feel for them. It's interesting to think about a ginormous company like Yamaha, and even you guys being so affected by it.
Everybody, and it's like I say, it's not just our industry. It's
it
is. And now finally, after a year and a half, it's finally reaching the news. All of these these supply shortages, the plastic shortages, the computer chip shortages, all of that stuff. If you were on the inside, you knew about that stuff a year and a half ago. If you weren't, you're hearing about it. You've been hearing about it in the last couple of months on the news, the supply chain. When was the last time you ever heard anybody outside of an industry use the words supply chain? You hear it now all the time.
Yeah, it's
you know,
the only
just
thing you
an
hear.
average everyday person. So how's your supply chain issues? It's like, what? You know,
It's the new how's the weather, right?
I haven't heard.
Yeah.
I think I hear that more now,
Yeah.
more than synergy. I hear
Synergy.
supply chain. I hear supply chain
Oh.
more than I hear synergy.
Yeah, but it's still below unprecedented.
Oh, unprecedented.
Supply chain is still ranks underneath unprecedented.
And moist.
Oh no!
Moist.
Don't
Oh.
say that on microphone.
Moist.
What's wrong with you?
COVID.
Oh my God.
Well, this, you know what? Actually, I brought up NAMM, which is funny, and then it made me think, like, so you joined Yamaha, and then what? Like 2 months later, you went to your first NAMM. Was that your
about 3
first
months.
NAMM? That was your first NAMM ever.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you've never been
Yeah,
in
that
NAMM, and now you're going as a Yamaha Canada music rep.
Manny,
How was that?
Yeah.
Hold on, because we have 3 people watching right now. 2 of them are not musicians. Let's
Okay.
explain what NAMM is.
Never April, maybe May. They put a product in front of you, and you drool on it, and then Billy Sheehan and Nathan East play the crap through it, and they're like, "Okay, we're gonna take that back," and then you put your order in at your local music store, and you don't get it till May.
So, all right.
Yeah, Steve, you want to take this
Steve,
one?
I'll take it.
Yeah, for sure. So NAMM is the NAMM is the big trade show for our industry. It happens in California. There's actually 2 of them. The biggest one happens in Anaheim in January. There's also a smaller one that happens in Nashville, usually in July. But yeah, that's where most manufacturers will sort of debut all their new products for the year. You know, and it's there's a lot of celebrity appearances, there's concerts, there's a lot of industry stuff in terms of, you know, marketing seminars and you know, stuff like that for the music retail industry. And in the last, I want to say 7-8 years, maybe longer, it's been open to the public as well. So there's a lot of cool things that they do. They'll do seminars where they'll take a popular song and they'll break down the mix, and they'll tell you how, you know, they'll get the engineer that mixed it, and he'll talk about how, you know, how he did this, how he did that. So there's a lot of cool stuff that goes on at NAMM. But in my context, yeah, I was there as a representative of Yamaha, specifically Yamaha Canada, and yeah, it was to talk to our dealers about what was new, what was coming. And in some cases, you know, it's a chance to meet some of these dealers for the first time, you know, especially, again, I'd only been there a few months at the time. So a lot of these guys I was meeting for the very first time. And, you know, you get to interface with them. How you like that? Nice little
wow
word, interface.
Wow, you are a dork.
I'm such a dork. Yeah, if the glasses didn't give it away.
Amazing.
Thank you. But yeah, so it was a whirlwind though, because you are busy nonstop. It's also a time where all of the Yamaha subsidiaries from all over the world get together.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not just me meeting with the dealers, it's me meeting with Japan.
Wow.
You know, and finding out about, you know, what's coming even further down the line that we can't talk about yet, you know, that kind of thing. You know, got to meet the folks from Yamaha Russia, from, you know, the awesome folks from Yamaha Australia, you know, really great group of people. You know, so it was really cool to talk with them, and it's cool to pick their brains too. Hey, what are you doing in your market? Like how, you know, hey, this product's been a little bit weak for us. Hey, you know, how is it for you? Is it, you know, are we doing something
weak
wrong?
all over the world, or is it? Yeah,
you know,
or
and
I see that you guys are selling so much. Tell me why.
Yeah, what are you doing? What, you know, and so it's a really, really great event. But yeah, it's nonstop busy because, and with the public being there, like I would have to look up the numbers, but it's well over 100,000 people that come through there on that weekend.
That's a lot.
In hopes to
and
see Victor Wooten and
yeah. Well, the cool
have
one
a
that
slap off against Larry Graham.
the cool one, Manny, you will appreciate this one, I think.
I appreciate nothing.
more than anybody, but that year, they actually had a special Ampeg. It was a huge fridge that was like 18 feet tall, and a matching head to go with it, and it works. Like, it actually is fully functional. You plug into it, and every hour they would let somebody, like every hour on the hour, they'd let somebody go and just hammer on this thing.
Oh, that's cool.
And but also we had Derek Smalls from Spinal Tap.
You had to.
He was there, and it was really cool. I mean, like, we all know it's Harry Shearer, right? He's great actor, great voice actor. But what was really funny was we were actually told in advance, like, when you're talking with him, do not call him Mr. Shearer, do not call him Harry, you call him Derek or Mr. Smalls. You do not talk about The Simpsons. You do not talk about any of his other stuff. Like, he is not Harry Shearer right now. He is Derek Smalls. Derek Smalls doesn't know about The Simpsons. It was really funny. And, yeah, but I mean, he actually hung out in the Yamaha Canada sort of green room that we had. So we got to hang out with him for a little bit, and super great guy, really funny. And, as you would expect. So there you go. I got to.
What did he play on? Like, did he play big bottom on there, or did he just whack the bass and turn it?
He was just kind of whacking on the bass a little bit. Yeah. He didn't play like a full tune or anything, but it was more about, just throw up the horns and, throw up the horns, get some selfies with them, that kind of stuff. So, but it was a blast.
Oh yeah. I would have loved that.
Well, let's take a quick break, and we'll come back. We do have, I do have a commercial this time, I swear.
Yeah, somebody sponsoring this?
No. It's not a sponsorship. It's an affiliate program. And so I have a commercial. I'll do the plug. We'll be right back. Cool. Hey guys, Daniel here from Behind the Hooks. Just wanted to take this time to let you know about Buzzsprout. Buzzsprout is who we use here on our show to distribute our show to all the platforms that we can, Spotify and all that fun stuff. Follow the link in the description and the show notes, and it gets you a $20 Amazon gift card if you sign up for a paid plan, and it helps support our show, which is pretty great. That would be nice. We use it. It's been nothing but great. It's super easy to use. The customer support and the help that I've gotten, because I am tech dumb, has been nothing but incredible. If you want to upgrade, Buzzsprout has tons of guides to help you find the right equipment at the right place. Just start with some gear, a quiet place, and you can literally upload a podcast from anywhere. You'll get real great looking podcasts because of the website. The website is super sleek and it's really nice. It's nice to have a hub for people to go to if they just want to listen to your show. It's not hard if you have the right partners. The team at Buzzsprout is passionate about helping you succeed. I've experienced this firsthand. We had a previous show that I didn't have access to, and I was worried about it kind of convoluting the market a little bit. So the fact that we can run side by side is absolutely amazing. Join over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout to get their message out to the world. Your message is important, and Buzzsprout is here to help you get it out there. We use it, we love it, and we know that you guys will love it too. So, like I said, there's some incentives behind it. Go ahead and check out the link that I'm going to be putting in the description and the show notes. Now, let's get back to the show. Hey, we're back.
We're back.
I'm telling you, Buzzsprout's a great program. You guys should get on board if you want to start a podcast.
Sprout in.
It does the work for you. Anyway, I got a surprise.
Oh,
I actually don't have to yell anymore.
This is exciting.
Editor Danny, roll it. On this day in music history. Well, on this day in 1979, we're going to go to the world of Elton John. Elton John in 79 was touring the US, and he actually collapsed on stage at the Hollywood's Universal Amphitheater, suffering from exhaustion. Now, Elton John is one of those performers that this doesn't really surprise me. He is so out there as a performer. I mean, you see old footage of him like doing double kicks while he's playing, like his hands are on the keys and he's donkey kicking outward like that. He was a very, very physical performer, and it doesn't surprise me that he had an exhaustion break. Gigging is not a sit down sport, man. Like it does take a toll. Steve, you know, being a performer, we know. I mean, whether we're doing the setups for the PA systems or the sound systems at a bigger event, or just the amount of time that, you know, you're out there and, you know, trying to do a great job, it's a lot of work,
especially if you're Elton, right? And you're playing, you know, these stadiums, right? You're, you know.
No, screw that. It's about us now.
We're done talking about Elton. We're done. Yes.
Sometimes this on this day goes the whole time. But
Steve, you know, man. Like, I mean, talking from experience, I mean, you did the Nashville scene. You done all of the friggin' GTA. You've been, I mean, you were gigging every single time I texted you, seeing like, hey, what are you up to tonight? Oh, I've got a gig here. Well, okay, then if this is the only time I can see you, I'm gonna come and see you at your gig. And you know, like I bring a bunch of people and stuff like that, especially like the, you know, the Baldwin days and stuff like that. Those are
Baldwin's. I miss that place.
Those are good times, man. But I remember the amount that you were gigging back then, and I mean, you could probably attest to the Elton John exhaustion.
Yeah, well, it's not quite to that level. I was never you know, that, I mean, I was energetic, don't get me wrong, but you know, I was never, you know, doing high kicks and stuff like that.
Wait, so, you never wore platinum boots and did donkey kicks with your guitar in hand? What are you talking about?
So I did do one show. It was kind of a joke when I was still in my hometown, or I did one show with a band, because I was always, you know, the guy who did stuff on his own.
Right.
So with my friends, we got together and I invited everybody, and we did one rock show. And for that, I bought pleather pants.
Ooh,
for that
you
show,
did not.
I did. I had
pictures.
pleather pants for that show, and it was a blast. Actually, the most fun part of that was we did Anything for Love by Meatloaf.
Of course you did.
Of course I did.
My God.
And the entire we closed with Anything for Love, and it was the entire, like the whole thing, like no radio.
You did the whole thing?
Oh yeah. And but the best part about it was and nobody outside of us knew that this was going to happen. There was a really good friend of ours who was an amazing singer, just a beautiful, beautiful singer. And she was at the show, and she and I had worked it out that she had a wireless mic, and she had it hidden on her the whole show. And she stood at the back of the room the whole night, you know, and then when the duet part kicked in, she turned on her wireless and she started singing the Mrs. Loud part, right?
To be a fly on that wall, man.
And it was crazy because in the place, the room, it was like the parting of the Red Sea. It was just everybody just moved aside, and she walked towards the stage, I walked toward her, and and we were basically singing in the middle of the floor in the venue.
Oh, cool.
And singing right at each other. It was a blast. That was so much fun. But yes, that's the only time that I would say I ever kind of did the full-on like rock show kind of thing. I usually am a little more subdued than that. But
I've gotten injured on stage more times than I can count. I've been electrocuted. I've passed out on stage. I don't remember the times that I did pass out, but I assume it was a great time.
I fell asleep once when I was playing with Steve was on that gig, the wedding
with
gig
Kara.
with Kara.
You fell asleep?
Wow, it was drunk sleep.
Oh, it was a slumber. It was a slumber.
Kara, it was such a fun gig. She put together a band, and Steve drove me, and me and Jeff Saunier, the drummer, we were just drinking and drinking.
Hi, Jeff.
I'm in a video.
Are you actually?
Where they're videoing the bride and groom, and I'm in the back in my shorts, and I walk by and I open up the cooler and open a beer, and they're like, oh, like take two. Just me bending over in my shorts and my butt's hanging out to the video.
Okay,
I thought I was being, but so anyways, yeah, I fell asleep a little bit. It was fun.
Well, that was a fun gig, and I mean, fortunately for that night, most of the songs were in E and A, so you were okay.
I was okay once I got the set list, and me and Jeff were like, "That's a drinking night."
Yeah, anytime Steve would call me to do a duo gig or anything like that, I always knew it was going to be a great time, because a lot of the time we were just playing for each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was the crowd didn't really necessarily understand what the hell we were doing, but we were having a great time.
But it's all about when you're a gigging musician, right? Like, because if you don't have those, what do you have?
Yeah.
What do you have?
And that's why, like I've basically stepped away from that for the most part these days, but even for about a year before that, like my last year of gigging, I wasn't doing solo stuff because I just, I couldn't, how can I put it? I couldn't necessarily find it in myself all the time to be playing in a bar by myself. And, those kind of environments, you're not always getting a whole lot back from the audience.
Yeah.
And we're performers, we feed off of that.
Yeah.
And we feed off the energy we get from other people and entertaining other people. And that's why I started doing so many duo gigs with Johnny, our good friend John Dawson.
Yeah, Johnny.
Because if I couldn't feed off of entertaining, or if I wasn't entertaining the crowd, or not that I wasn't entertaining them, but if I couldn't feed off of them, then I would feed off Johnny. Because I would play to him, and see what he would throw back at me, and so I really enjoy doing that kind of stuff, but the exhaustion that comes from those gigs, what a lot of people don't realize is that for the type of gigs that we were doing, those cover gigs in bars and in clubs and stuff like that, it's not just the 3 hours that we're up on stage, right? It's the hour and a half before that we had to set up the PA. It's the hour afterwards of tearing everything down. It's the 45 minutes each way you drove to get there. And the other big thing that nobody remembers is that it's also the years of experience that I put in to get as good as I was. That's what you're paying for.
Yeah. I mean,
right?
That's what drives me nuts.
It's not the 4 hours, because that was, I would occasionally get some more novice bar owners or club owners who would say something, if I quoted my price, and they'd say, well, man, that works out to X number of dollars an hour. And it's like, yeah, but that's not all you're paying for.
Yeah, but how about X dollars per year?
Yeah, exactly. If you put in the amount of time that I've actually put into putting on a good gig for you, I'm probably making pennies.
Yeah, you're charging as much as Spotify.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, basically. I had a bar once. I heard a bar once say like, oh, with me and Ryan, like, oh, you guys charge the most for the 2-piece, and I'm like, because we're the best band you have.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, done. I'm done trying to like
justify
pussyfoot it or whatever. It's just like, because the two of us are better than any other duo you have here, and you guys weren't playing.
Well, that's only because Johnny and I stopped playing.
Yeah.
No,
I'd love to have a.
I'm kidding. You know how much I love you and Ryan. So
right, it's just like you try to keep that money up, and just get tired of like, no, it's not we're paying you $28.50 an hour.
Don't think of it like that.
Like, no, you
shut up. Yeah, no, you're not.
Did your clientele have a great night after us? Yes or no?
Did money come in? Did money come in? Did our being here provide you with more income than it would have been with us not being here? Obviously, the answer is always going to be yes, right? Because nobody can stay away from live music. It's just the way that it is.
Well, and one of the reasons that I kind of pulled away too was I was starting to, I mean, I played a lot in the York region scene with you guys. Newmarket, Bradford, Aurora,
except for Pasala Vodka.
Yeah. That was a
one-time thing.
Yes.
And
we'll get into that in a second.
I smell a reunion coming.
Well, not really.
Not fully, but I'll find an Italian drummer.
Fair enough. But
sniff,
no,
sniff.
What I was starting to see, what are you smelling? Oh, smelling for garlic? Or I'm Italian, I can say that.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
We're all Italian.
So many wops here. Yeah.
We're just pasta here.
Oh my goodness.
I got no sauce on my shirt. We're not real 3 Italians then.
I got Ogio over there, man.
I should be putting oil on a piece of bread.
We may need to edit that in post.
We edit nothing.
That's right. But no, what I was going to say was one of the things that I was getting into was, I would get people say to me, oh, well, so-and-so will do it for X number of dollars.
Undercutting.
Right. And Manny, there's one very specific person who I will not name here, but who I'm talking about. And, oh, well, they'll do it for this much money. And I remember looking at one bar owner and I said, then hire them. You get what you pay for.
Exactly.
Like, I'm sorry, I know what I'm worth, and there's nothing wrong with commanding a price that you think you're worth. Like, you don't need to go down to the lowest common denominator. So any gigging musician out there, if you are reaching a point where you're like, oh man, so, maybe I'm pricing out of the market. Maybe I'm doing that. No, you're not.
No.
Right. You're
helping the market.
You go out and get what you're worth.
Yes.
Period.
100%. Well, here's the thing, right?
And maybe that means you got to do a little extra driving. Maybe that means you got to, do a little more pavement pounding to find the gigs, but they're there.
They are there.
There is appreciation for what we do. We're not just a jukebox.
I want to put this out to venue owners specifically, and I will be sending this out to specific venue owners because I have that kind of goddamn power. Listen, okay, the undercutting thing, exactly what Steve said. You get what you pay for. You don't, I mean, in this room right now, even virtually, we have about 80 years worth of experience just talking right now. We've been through the shit of it, and we've seen the glory of it, and the glory always comes from the patrons of those clubs, bars, venues coming up to us after the show and completely just so immersed in what we just did, and so thankful that we provided them with an experience that they would not have gotten otherwise. So if you want that to continue, and especially for musicians who have residencies or anything like that, just pay it. And if you can't, understandable, then don't hire. It just comes down to that. Don't find the cheapest one after that. If you can't afford it, then you can't afford it. Okay. It's just like don't do live music
every week. Maybe don't do live music every week if that's the case. Maybe do it once or twice a month, so that you've got a little more budget for it. Right. That way you can kind of cost average it. Okay, well, instead of having $150 a week, I got 300 for every 2 weeks. So now I can pay somebody 300 for the gig.
Exactly.
That makes way more sense. And you're going to get a good musician is going to keep people coming back to your bar. Bad musician will make sure they never come back.
It's the rule of magnetism, man.
Yeah.
You know, and that's all there is to it, you know. And I don't know. I shouldn't necessarily say the words bad musician. I mean, there is that, but there's also inexperienced musicians who just don't necessarily have the finesse to handle those kind of gigs. So maybe there's that. And you know, and if you're one of those, you know, do more open mics.
Yeah.
You know, do stuff to get yourself, you know, yeah, you might not get a lot of paying gigs right away, but build up your repertoire, do open
Network.
mics. Yeah. Learn how to work a crowd, you know, try and do a duo thing if you can, where maybe you only need to cover half of the night and the other person is doing the other half, you know, so you don't necessarily have to worry about having a more limited repertoire. There's lots of ways around it, you know. You know, we were all inexperienced, you know, greenhorns at some point, you know, and it's, you know, but you can't just think you can dive into the deep end because, you know, a half dozen chords and 35 songs.
Yeah.
You know, that's not enough.
Well, let's talk about this for a sec, because this is a good question that maybe some listeners that are starting out might not know the answer to. When is it okay to call yourself a professional musician?
Oh, I've seen so much debate about that, right? It's a hard one. Is it when you finish
school? Is it when you start getting paid? When is it?
I don't know. And does it matter though?
Well, it does, because some venues want professional musicians. They want that professionalism. Yeah. So is it by gig, by experience? Like what do we us as musicians should be able to answer that question?
Yeah,
I would say it's experience.
It's experience, right?
I think it's more experience than how much you're doing it. Because I know a bunch of killer players that they'll just play once a month because they don't care, because they're doing other things and whatever, right? But are they pro because they're doing recordings all day? Like, are you writing music all day and you're professional? Like, everything ties in.
I consider session guys professional musicians,
of course, sure. Right? Or do you have a day job and gig on the weekend, because that's all, you know, people are
now
hiring,
there is a split between that, because there's the hobbyists.
See, that's everybody knows what a hobbyist is.
But then there's the ones that like
your gig.
Being a musician, you know, you can't really like being a sustainable musician, being a sustainable working musician. I want to say in Canada is next to impossible. It's very difficult, next to impossible. But I think that the ones that are striving, like, you know, I know a lot of great musicians that also have day jobs. Those day jobs are investing back into their gear, investing back into getting to the point where maybe one day they won't have to have those day jobs, right? But yeah, I think there's some speculation about that. We do have some listeners that are, you know, that are interested in the gear talk, interested in the gig talk and everything like that. And they just don't know, you know, they just don't. I've gotten some emails too, like that they want us to feature them on the show at the tail end of the show, like we used to, and, you know, have an interview and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, I would love to do that. Yeah. But at a certain point, the conversation does stop because experience. Yeah. Yep. Right.
I think the conversation, if you want to go back to your original question of, you know, define professional, it's a definition I think you have to make for yourself. And to me, when I started kind of referring to myself as being a pro was when I was depending on the income. I know that sounds kind of weird, but at that point it became a living. It wasn't something I was doing for fun. It was something I was relying on. And it was something that I had to take seriously and invest in emotionally, you know, everything. I had to put everything into it because that was the only way I was going to get what I needed out of it financially, which I know that sounds like a kind of sellout thing to say, or overly, you know, capitalistic. You know, and don't get me wrong, I still gig because I loved it, and you know, for the love of it. And quite frankly, when it stopped being fun, I stopped doing it.
I commend you for
but,
that, because not a lot of people would, man.
And I've done that a couple times where I've taken the break, and like I say, I've stepped away from it now. But as Danny, as we were saying during the break, right? If you called me tomorrow and said, I got a gig on Saturday, can you come and be my side man, or come and split the night with me? There would be no question. Yeah, I'm there. Like,
you have no idea how good that makes me feel.
Because, but because no matter what the gig is, I know I'm going to have fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
Because of the chemistry that we have musically.
Which reminds me, Saturday I've got this thing.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Send me the details.
Well, no, because I remember, like, when you said you were gonna step away from it, and the first thing I thought about was, I know someday your daughter's gonna be like, hey, what was it like?
Yeah.
Or she's going to want to see you play.
Yeah.
And instead of you calling me for gigs, I'm going to call you for gigs just so she can see it.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? And I do want to clarify too. It wasn't just that, that I felt it stopped being fun or was being too competitive financially and stuff too. At the time when I did step away, I had, my daughter was very young. She was under a year. And, I was missing so much because I was gigging so many nights.
And then when you're home, you're tired.
Yeah, and that
cranky,
was it. Like, anytime I was home, it was like, oh my God, please just let me sleep. Yeah. And I mean, Manny, you've got kids, at the best of times, trying to get sleep with children, it just does not happen.
No.
Right. And
I'm nodding in agreement, like I know. I have a bunny.
Fair enough.
No, it's not the same.
So, Danny, you've had a puppy before, right?
Of course.
Yes, of course. Okay, so imagine that puppy has to be taken out to pee 38 times in a night.
Yeah.
And spends every waking moment actively trying to kill itself.
I honestly, man, I know
that gives, and multiply that experience by about 48,000, and you've got having one kid at home. So imagine Manny, who's got two.
Look, I know, and I think this is why I've been a lot of people in our culture start young with their families.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They have energy.
Yeah.
Is that?
And I think that's one of the reasons why I've been holding. I mean, like my brother's on kid number 2 now, and I think that one of the reasons why I've been holding off. One is I'm not done yet. I still have things I want to try. I still have things and having it, not that having a kid would hinder that, but I think the guilt that I would feel,
there's that guilt that
I think would possess me, and I know that when the time does come, because I do want to be a father, that time will come for me, and I will do what you did, Steve, and I will take a break and be there for the important moments. And there's this thing, we talked about this before, the legacy,
and we'll talk about
the legacy, right? We strive for this legacy to leave our mark in some way. And the funny thing is, you guys already have with your kids.
Yeah.
You really already have. Your legacy is there, and it'll be the same for me when that time comes, because, right now my legacy is I don't sleep, work till you collapse, like Elton John did.
And you know what, Danny, when I was your age, and I wasn't married, I didn't have a kid at that time and stuff. Yeah, I went the same way. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just it's what you do. But
and it's funny because most Italian families would be like, work hard and stuff like that. And my family is like, are you gonna take a break anytime soon? Like, you can have a vacation on my actual vacations that I would take, I'd be working.
But because we work on the nights when people are supposed to be chilling.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I know with like, it's like if you get up at 5 and work from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., that's okay. Cause then you're home at night and you tuck your kids in and you have a coffee or whatever with your spouse or whatever. Right. But we're gone at those important times when everybody's going to bed or lying, or hanging out or turning on the Netflix or whatever. Right. So that's why your parents are getting mad. They're like, I want to have an espresso with you after dinner, right? But you're already gone to your wedding.
That's the thing. They're not mad.
No.
My poor parents, like the two children on polar opposite sides of the spectrum. Like my brother,
but both very handsome.
Well, my brother definitely got the looks. I got the creative. I got the creative. The creative muscle in this. My brother's very creative, but he's creative more in a visual way, like the visual arts.
I was gonna say, from the fact he's got 2 kids, he's more procreative than anything.
He's procreative, yeah. Seriously, man.
Sorry,
at this point, I'm Uncle Buck, man. Like, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna. Oh, Jesus. Zoom. Yeah. Go ahead, Steve. You're the guest.
Okay. Well, no, I was going to say, you talk about the legacy and stuff. And one thing that's important to me is that, when my daughter is 6, 7, 10, I don't want her to look at my guitars hanging on the wall and be like, why don't you play those anymore?
Yeah.
I don't want that. I do want her to see me play. And yeah, it was never like stepping away was never, like you said, it was never goodbye. It was always
just a farewell.
It was see you later, right?
See you later. Yeah.
And it will be. Eventually I will get back into it. The nice thing is, I'm in a position now where I can be a lot more choosy with my gigs. Whereas 5-6 years ago,
I couldn't grind. You were in the heat of the grind, man.
Yeah. I mean, you were there. You were there for all of it, and it's like, you're working a retail job where, you're not making great money and you need to, you need something to supplement it, because you're not going to live otherwise. And so there was always that pressure of, oh God, I don't want to gig tonight, but I need the money, when I did get the job with Yamaha, there was a lot more security there. And it gave me the ability to turn around and just say, you know what, I'm going to do a gig because I want to do a gig. I'm not going to do gigs because I have to anymore. And
that's
my
great
wife,
feeling.
And my wife was just as happy that I made that decision.
Because you're happier, right?
Yeah.
Yamaha Canada, thank you.
Yeah.
thank you for giving Steve the security that he needs to be the best man that he can be.
Oh, well, thank you.
I want to thank you, Steve, for being on the show.
Exactly.
And
thank you.
I want to say you are welcome, obviously, anytime. I look forward to the day that we can sit down, have a glass of wine together, and maybe in a better studio. I don't know. Right now we're just in my house.
Your tiny room is beautiful. It's a beautiful tiny room. I love it.
But I do want to say thank you very much for coming on the show, and dropping some knowledge on us and the people that are listening, that that maybe don't understand what goes on from your end of the music industry. And
it's a long road for when you walk in and buy that guitar at a store.
It is a very long road to get there.
It's gone through a lot of people's hands.
What I'll do is I'll drop some links down below of some websites. Of course I will. Some websites that people can check out if they're interested in some first-time purchases and everything like that. I'll drop some links down below. And of course, as always, Steve, it's great to talk to you, buddy.
Yeah, man.
The pleasure is all mine. Thanks so much for having me, guys.
All right, peeps. See you later.
We out.
Bye, Manny.
Cut it out. That was for you, Steve. I know you get it
so much.